Imagine waking up to find your backyard sliced open like a bad surgery scar. All because some self-appointed neighborhood dictator decided your land was their playground. That's exactly what hit me one crisp morning in Willow Creek. That picture-perfect suburb where the lawns are greener than envy and the rules tighter than a cheap corset. But me, I was the outsider, the guy with the old ranch house on the edge, whispered about as the recluse who'd supposedly scared off the last 3 mailmen. Total BS. By the way, but rumors stick like gum in HOA meetings. I was out scattering feed for my chickens when I spotted it. A jagged trench ripping through my north field, dirt piled up like someone had hosted a drunken mole convention. I trudged over, my work boots sinking into the churned soil, and there it was, a gleaming PVC pipe, fresh as a daisy, snaking right across my property. Not mine. No way. I'd have remembered installing something that looked like it belonged in a bad plumbing ad. I knelt down, running my fingers along the cold plastic, half expecting it to buzz like a guilty conscience. Nope. Silent as a thief. Then came the rumble of tires on gravel. A shiny black Escalade pulled up, dust swirling like a cheap special effect. Out stepped Karen Whitaker. Oh, excuse me, President Karen Whitaker of the Willow Creek HOA, the woman who'd turned community standards into a 4-letter word. She was decked out in yoga pants that screamed, "I brunch with power," a visor hat shading her perfectly arched brows, and a scent trail of lavender that could knock out a skunk. "Jack," she cooed, her voice all honeyed venom, like she was about to sell me oceanfront property in Arizona. "Karen," I replied, keeping my tone flat as the Kansas plains. I'd learned the hard way not to give her an inch last time. She turned my overgrown hedge into a neighborhood scandal, spreading whispers that I was harboring invasive species to sabotage property values. She adjusted her visor, flashing that plastic smile reserved for HOA newsletters. "I see you've discovered our little improvement project. The new irrigation line for the communal green spaces and those darling bird baths at the entrance. You mean the unauthorized ditch you carved through my land?" I shot back, pointing at the pipe like it was Exhibit A in a murder trial. She let out a tinkling laugh, the kind that says, "Oh, you poor unenlightened soul. Jack, don't be so theatrical. It's barely a blip on your vast. Whatever this is." She waved her manicured hand at my fields, dismissing 10 acres like it was an unkempt closet. The board voted unanimously. We consulted a landscaping expert who said this was the optimal route. "Think of the butterflies." "I didn't vote," I said, crossing my arms. "And last I checked, my deed doesn't have an HOA stamp on it." "Well, technically, you're not part of our little family," she replied, her eyes twinkling with that faux sympathy. "But we're all in this together, right? For the greater good. You wouldn't want to be the villain who lets our award-winning rose bushes wilt, would you? The neighborhood watch would never forgive you." I stared at her, jaw clenched. The audacity, admitting to trespass like it was borrowing a cup of sugar. "This is my property, Karen. You didn't ask, didn't get a permit, nothing. That's breaking the law." She scoffed, flipping open her phone to check some urgent emoji. "Laws? Oh honey, we have guidelines. And our lawyers? Top-notch. They'd eat this up like gluten-free kale chips. Besides, it's just water. Not like we're fracking for oil. Just water." Those 2 words hung in the air like a bad punchline. I didn't snap back. Instead, I turned on my heel and headed inside, my mind racing faster than her Escalade on a speed bump. Anger? Sure, boiling under the surface. But mostly, it was the spark of a plan, the kind that turns just water into a drought of justice. What Karen and her HOA cronies didn't know was that their precious pipe wasn't sucking from some endless municipal tap. It traced back to a natural spring, bubbling up on a forgotten lot 8 miles upstream. And that lot? For sale, as I'd spotted on the community bulletin board at the hardware store, sandwiched between lost dog flyers and piano lessons. By dusk, I was dialing the real estate agent, my voice steady as I inquired about the status. "Still available? Great. Let's talk terms." 3 days later, I was in the agent's office, signing papers amid the hum of fluorescent lights and stale coffee. The spring was mine now, lock, stock, and trickle. Karen wanted to play petty tyrant? Fine. But I just bought the throne. I didn't flip the switch right away. No, that would be too hasty, too satisfying in the short term. Instead, I called up my old buddy, drone enthusiast and part-time surveyor, Theo Ramirez. Theo owed me one. I'd once helped him expose a neighbor faking disability claims to dodge HOA fines. I handed him the coordinates over a beer at his garage setup. Fly this route, Theo. Map the trench from my land south. Get everything, overlays, timestamps, the works. He grinned, firing up his quadcopter. On it, Jack. This gonna make waves. Waves? Nah, tsunamis. By evening, the files pinged into my inbox. Crystal clear aerials showing the pipe not just violating my turf but slithering through old Mrs. Hargrove's backyard too. The widow next door who'd been labeled eccentric by the HOA for her wildflower garden. 2 counts of trespass, gift-wrapped with GPS proof. I printed it all, slapped it in a folder labeled HOA's Watergate, and felt that first twinge of dark glee. Next morning, I rang the sheriff's department. Deputy Reyes showed up, a no-nonsense guy in his 40s with a mustache that screamed, "I've seen it all." I handed him the folder. He leafed through, whistling low. This pipe's got more twists than a soap opera. They really just bulldozed through without a heads-up. No permit, no easement, zilch, I confirmed. And now they're watering their fake Tuscan fountains with stolen H2O. He scratched his chin. Water rights around here? Tighter than a tick. You filing? Already did with the county board. Investigations rolling. He nodded, tucking the folder under his arm. Mind if I copy this? I'll swing by the subdivision. Stir the pot. Stir he did. By lunch, my phone buzzed. Mrs. Hargrove. Her voice quivering with that mix of outrage and vindication. Jack, a deputy just left. Says some HOA pipes running through my roses. That true? Clear as day in the drone shots, I said. Want in on a statement? I drafted one. You bet. Those busybodies fined me last year for non-conforming flora. Time for payback. We emailed the works to the water board, sheriff, and the local TV station. Because nothing exposes hypocrisy like the 6 o'clock news. I wasn't letting this simmer in secret. Karen's community needed a spotlight on their shenanigans. The news van rolled in at dawn. Reporter Lena with her mic and cameraman in tow. I led them to the trench, pipe gleaming mockingly. Any words for the record, Mr. Harlan? Yeah, I said, staring down the lens. If the HOA craves perfection, they can fund it legally. Stealing? That's where the line, or pipe, ends. The segment aired prime time, right after a fluff piece on puppy adoptions. My phone exploded. Texts from neighbors I'd barely spoken to. Some supportive, others whispering about Karen's iron fist. And then the queen herself returned. No yoga gear this time, power suit, briefcase, heels clicking like accusations. She rapped on my door, face pinched. I opened it, leaning casual. Can I come in? She snapped. Nope. You're being hostile, Jack. Hostile? That's digging up someone's yard uninvited. She huffed. We're offering fair compensation for an easement. Retroactive, of course. Retroactive? Cute. Like apologizing after robbing the bank. She thrust papers at me. This covers payments, upkeep. Be reasonable. I didn't touch them. Reasonable was asking first. This? Theft in a bow tie. We were enhancing the neighborhood. Then tell your dues payers where their money went to lawyers covering your ass. She stormed off, tires screeching. That night I twisted the valve shut. Dry as a bone. By morning, Willow Creek's fountains sputtered to a halt. Gardens gasping like fish on land. Landscapers hauled hoses desperately. A comical parade of panic. Theo called, chuckling. Check their site. Temporary glitch due to climate woes. No mention of your land grab. The cracks widened. A lawyer rang, not HOAs, but for furious residents. Leaked drone pics had gone viral on the neighborhood app. They lied about legal negotiations, he said. Dues funding felonies? Residents want blood. Statements ready, I replied. By week's end, a petition surged. Boot Karen, audit everything. Residents trickled to my door, apologetic. We didn't know, one said. She said it was all above board. Boards can rot, I quipped. The water board slapped notices. Violations galore, fines looming. Sheriff's probe kicked off for resource theft. Willow Creek withered dry fountains, brown lawns, while Karen went radio silent. Fine by me. I savored the quiet storm brewing. Then the real hammer dropped. A knock at my shed. 2 state agents, suits rumpled from the road. Investigator Hale and Agent Soto, water rights enforcement. You're the complainant. Guilty as charged. Coffee? We hunkered in my office. I slid over the expanded binder. Spring deed, fresh drone scans, pump photos, yeah. I'd yanked their illicit feeder pump and stashed it. They tapped the spring presale, I explained. Hale whistled. Bold. And we found forged permits at county records. Your signature? Misspelled. Neighbors in crayon-level block letters. Heat flushed my face. Sloppy crooks. Subpoenas out for HOA docs. This smells like fraud. Need statements? Access? Done. They left with the goods, taillights fading as momentum surged. Reporter Lena called for updates. Patience, I said. It's percolating. That night, HOA's private Zoom leaked. 200-plus residents crashed it. Karen spun, environmental hiccups. A board eye cracked. Like the guy who owns the spring now? Chat erupted. Links to my deed. Demands for truth. Deputy Reyes joined. Don't touch records. Active case. Meeting imploded. 2 days on, Mrs. Hargrove rang, breathless. They nabbed her. Karen and that slimy treasurer, Greg. Cuffed in broad daylight. Neighborhood gawked like it was fireworks. I strolled to the trench's edge, pipe parched, and grinned a deep, satisfying one. Agent Soto confirmed. Emails exposed fast-tracking with fake SIGs. Dues siphoned under beautification fees. Charges piled. Fraud, forgery, misuse, trespass. Board crumbled, resignations flew, records seized. Residents mobilized to nuke the HOA. A mailbox note arrived. You shattered the chains. Thanks. With a hardware gift card. Sweet, but unnecessary. Interim leaders apologized formally, offering damages. Straight to my lawyer, civil suit brewing. Mrs. Hargrove and I advised on legit water co-ops. Transparent, voluntary. No tyrants. Crews excavated the pipe, every illicit inch. Theo's final drone. Clean slate, grass rebounding. Willow Creek. Fountains dormant, beds barren. But vibes shifted, neighbors collaborating. Ditching HOA relics. At the hardware store, a flyer. Rebuilding Willow Creek, neighbors only. I pinned, rules bind fools. Freedom flows free. The courtroom hummed with tension. Sunlight slanting through dusty panes like judgmental spotlights. Judge Harlan, no relation, thank God, poured over docs, muttering incredulously. Across sat Karen, Greg, and their consultant sleaze, Victor Kane, who'd ghostwritten the forgeries via a bogus license. De Ruiz rose. Your Honor, this isn't a slip-up. It's a syndicate, resource heist, record fakes, community scam. They schemed, funded with dues, then stonewalled the whistleblower. She nodded my way. Karen sat defiant, chin high. Greg floor-gazed. Victor schemed escape routes. Mr. Harlan, the judge intoned. Civil damages claim stands? Yes, sir. Remediation, legals, lost use. He eyed the trio. Evidence overwhelming. Ruling today. Karen's lawyer begged leniency. Community pillars. Save the sermon. Judge snapped. More affidavits. Secret votes ignoring trespass. Shady payments. He laced fingers. You weaponized power, risked properties, broke laws. Not error, blueprint. To Victor, enabler. Greg, rubber stamper. Silence choked the room. Sentences. Probation, restitution, board bans. Victor, year in jail. Karen and Greg, half your service, ethics classes. Civils next week. Gavel down. Outside, Mrs. Hargrove waited with coffee. Hell of a mulch for your fields. Pricey, but regenerative. They'll cough up. Or lose it all. HOA dissolved. New association. Opt-in, clear. Spring mine, leverage intact. Back home, trench healed. Sprouts defying scars. Soil report. Minor hits. Nature mending. DA called. Payout starting. Treasurer flipping on another shady board. Westbrook Estates? Spot on. Rotten core. Evening knock. Young resident with flyers. Cleanup drive. Park trucks by your fence. Sure. Gate locked after. She smiled. We're mending fences, literally. Thanks for the wake-up. You weren't the issue, but better? Counts. Flyer. Volunteers. Gardens. Charter for equals. Signatures, real folks. One last trench walk. Birds chirped. Butterflies danced. I towed dirt over the old valve, turned homeward. Landside content. But tell me, in a world where community masks control freaks, was turning off the tap justice? Or just the splash they deserved? Who's the real villain? The thief in the suit? Or the one who finally said enough? Drop your thoughts below, right or wrong.